How a tiny desert nation became one of the richest countries on Earth. Imagine discovering one of the world's largest sources of wealth beneath an empty desert. A country with almost no rivers, very little farmland, scorching summer temperatures that often exceed 45 degrees Celsius, and a population smaller than many major cities. Yet today, Qatar is one of the richest countries on Earth. Its skyline is filled with futuristic skyscrapers. Luxury hotels line the waterfront. It hosted the 2022 FIFA World Cup, and its national airline connects more than 170 destinations across the globe. But just a few generations ago, Qatar was a completely different place. So how did this tiny desert nation become one of the wealthiest countries in the world? The answer begins long before oil and natural gas. For centuries, Qatar was home to small coastal communities that survived through fishing, trade, and pearl diving. Before cultured pearls were invented, natural pearls from the Arabian Gulf were among the world's most valuable luxury items. Thousands of divers risked their lives every season, diving deep into the sea without modern equipment. Pearls became the backbone of Qatar's economy. Then everything changed. In the 1930s, Japan perfected cultured pearls. Suddenly, natural pearls lost much of their value. The Gulf's pearl industry collapsed almost overnight. For Qatar, it was an economic disaster. Many families struggled to survive. The country's future looked uncertain. But beneath the desert, another treasure had already been discovered. Oil. In 1939, Qatar discovered commercially viable oil reserves. Although World War II delayed development, production eventually transformed the country's economy. For decades, oil revenues funded roads, schools, hospitals, ports, and modern infrastructure. But Qatar's greatest fortune wasn't oil. It was something even more valuable: natural gas. Beneath the waters of the Persian Gulf lies the North Field, one of the largest natural gas reserves ever discovered. It is so enormous that Qatar shares it with neighboring Iran, where it is known as South Pars. This single geological formation changed Qatar forever. Instead of relying only on crude oil exports, Qatar invested heavily in liquefied natural gas, better known as LNG. Unlike natural gas transported through pipelines, LNG is cooled to extremely low temperatures, turning it into a liquid that can be shipped almost anywhere in the world. This allowed Qatar to sell its energy to countries across Asia and Europe. Demand exploded. As economies grew, so did their need for cleaner-burning fuel compared to coal. Qatar was perfectly positioned to supply it. Billions of dollars began flowing into the country. Rather than spending all of that wealth immediately, Qatar invested strategically. The government established one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds, purchasing stakes in global companies, luxury real estate, airports, hotels, and financial institutions. Today, Qatari investments can be found in cities such as London, Paris, and New York. At home, the transformation was equally dramatic. The capital city of Doha expanded rapidly. Glass skyscrapers replaced quiet coastal villages. World-class museums, universities, and sports facilities emerged from the desert. Modern highways connected growing neighborhoods. One of the country's biggest ambitions was to become more than an energy exporter. Qatar wanted global influence. In 1996, it launched Al Jazeera, a television network that would become one of the most recognized news organizations in the Middle East. Years later, Qatar won the right to host the 2022 FIFA World Cup. It became the first Middle Eastern country to organize football's biggest tournament. To prepare, billions of dollars were invested in stadiums, airports, roads, hotels, and an entirely new metro system. The tournament introduced Qatar to hundreds of millions of viewers around the world. Yet rapid growth has also brought challenges. Qatar relies heavily on foreign workers, who make up the majority of the country's population. Questions have been raised internationally about labor conditions, environmental sustainability, and the long-term future of an economy still closely linked to energy exports. At the same time, global energy markets continue to evolve. Renewable energy is expanding. Countries are investing in cleaner technologies. Qatar understands that it cannot rely on natural gas forever. That is why it continues investing in finance, tourism, aviation, education, and technology. The goal is simple: build an economy that remains strong long after fossil fuels become less important. Today, Qatar is proof that geography alone does not determine a nation's future. A country once dependent on pearl divers became one of the world's leading exporters of natural gas. A small fishing society transformed into a global financial investor, and a quiet stretch of desert became one of the most recognizable skylines in the Middle East. Whether Qatar can successfully adapt to a changing world remains one of the most fascinating questions of the 21st century. But one thing is already certain: its journey from a humble pearl diving nation to one of the richest countries on Earth is one of the most remarkable economic transformations in modern history.